Hello and welcome to Tonalist Painting with M. Francis McCarthy. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis, and welcome as well to day 25 of 25 Days of Tonalism. The painting I'm doing today is by a study after Edward Mitchell Bannister, and it's called, his painting is called Tree Near a River. And I mentioned yesterday on a video of my own, one of my own paintings, that day 25 is not the last day of 25 Days of Tonalism. We're going to have a day 26, and that's going to be next week, and that will be the last day. Why I did that, I don't know. I guess I was thinking if something went tragically, horribly wrong, I would slip something into place, but and something probably did go tragically, horribly wrong. I'm sure there was one or two that didn't have a complete video or something like that. I know that's happened on the bunch that I'm working on video processing for now, which is going to be the next series of 25, and there were a couple cases where I just decided to do another study, and that wasn't so bad because they were both happened to be paintings that I really wanted to show you guys here on YouTube and my blog. So yeah, and you know, I ended up with two studies around, one of which I've given away, and the other one is a study after John Francis Murphy painting. It looks just awesome. I'm happy to have a second study laying around. I don't know what I'll do with it, but I'll do something. Edward Mitchell Bannister, you can find out a lot of information about him online very easily. Reason being, he was African American and one of the few well-known African American landscape painters from the 19th century. So and there was a big rediscovery of his work in the 1960s with the civil rights movement and things like that. So there's quite a lot of information about him, and I have to say, it really doesn't matter what color the guy was. He was an excellent painter, and I love his work very much. And he's not what I would call a pure tonalist. He definitely has echoes of that Hudson River thing going, but you know, the Barbizons definitely influenced him. I'm pretty sure he never actually even left the country of the United States. So a lot of these guys were influenced by the Barbizon. One of the reasons they were is because they went to France and saw the Barbizon paintings firsthand. And Barbizon movement, 1830 to 1860, probably even hung in there past the time the Impressionists were doing their thing. And the Impressionists, of course, very much influenced by the Barbizon painters, in good ways, and in some ways, I don't know. The Impressionism is really remarkable for being a place where landscape painting made a leap forward, but also made a leap into the abyss. And you know, could I write a research paper on this? Maybe. I don't know if I have the time to dedicate to back up my opinion with a lot of scientific research. But I guess the reason I'd say that it was the beginning of the end is that first of all, a lot of these Impressionist painters couldn't draw very well. I have to say, I think Renoir, he's not a very good drawer. He just Monet, yeah, he could draw pretty well. Manet, he's not even an Impressionist as far as I'm concerned. He's in a class of his own. And one of the last masters, that the French school produced, really. And why do I say, why you might ask yourself, well, why is drawing so important to painting? Well, you can paint without being able to draw well, but you're going to be at a distinct disadvantage. I think you're going to be constantly struggling to do things that are good, and that would be the case with Renoir. I mean, some of his paintings are absolutely great, but a lot of them I can't look at them because of the crudity of the figures or that you can get away with things in landscape too. I mean, a lot of times you get the colors right, you get the masses right. The details aren't so important. The actual draftsmanship isn't always a huge factor, but it is a factor, and it's something that you would rely on constantly as an artist. And if it's not there, if it's not present, basically you're just left with making a bunch of excuses, I think. That's my opinion, for what it's worth. You can take it or leave it, and I know you might think I've got a lot of cheek dissing somebody like Renoir, but I do, and I am, and so there you go. Edward Mitchell Bannister, on the other hand, certainly could draw very, very well, and his paintings are awesome. I wish I could see some of them in real life. This is a downside to living out here in New Zealand now, that I don't have access to a lot of these things that might be a car trip or a short plane trip away, but that's neither here nor there. So those of you that follow the channel and the blog noticed we gave you a bonus video and a blog post. Of course, the blog post is absent the essays that I had been writing in the past, and I guess I'm just trying to put more content into the videos, so I know it's still going to be kind of rambly, but it's not like I ever labeled those blogs with the specific topics that I was writing about anyway. It's a lot of times I just saw it as a kind of it's just like the slice of life rambling I do here, except more work, because it's actually in text form, so I have to apply grammar, and I have to apply a definite structure, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if this was an endeavor like a book or something I was working on, I would definitely not hesitate to apply all those things, but I prefer to just communicate with you off the top of my head, vocally, verbally, and you get from it what you get. And frankly, you should be, if you're into painting or being a painter, you should be a student of painting, and going and digging up information about artists you like and techniques that you think are worth learning or pursuing. There is a ton of information on my blog. I mean, almost everything I know or have learned about painting I've written about, and I'd say for the last half a year I've been revisiting things and recycling, and just doing that off the top of my head. So it's not like I would go back and write or read something that I wrote about in the past and then write about it again. Basically, I kind of just, it's more like I have a vague inkling that I've talked about this before. So and I may get back into the essays at some point, but getting back to my point of the bonus video, it's just easier for me to do that sort of thing now, because all I really have to do is image prep and the video I was doing anyway, and then upload it. And so because that's less work for me, it gives me a chance to put more videos out, and I have a good backlog of videos. I have a lot of things that even going back to 2014 now, when I started videotaping, that haven't seen the light of day, so to speak. And I'm not saying I'm committing to doing 3 posts a week either, but I like the fact that I can if I want to. If inspiration inspires me and I've got a spare half hour here or there, I can just get into my archives, grab a video, grab some photos of my paintings, and start rambling into this microphone here, and then upload it, and let the world do what it may with it. Anyway, I'm in the studio today. It's Saturday. Actually, I'm talking to you from my home office. I'm home for lunch right now, but I'm going back to the studio. I did a little painting this morning. Came out pretty well. It's kind of a nocturne sort of approach. The actual scene originally was more like a misty morning, but I decided to sort of transition into a nocturne because I felt it needed something So it's kind of a play on blues and whatnot. And I've been wanting to try this on the burn umber ground color. Anyway, so anyway, today is Saturday, the April 6th, 2017. I'm gonna be after I finish recording this audio here for this sped up video, I will be returning back to the studio and doing another study. And I didn't get as much done this week as I really wanted to, but I think I set up like 19 scenes, one of which I just straight up decided to bail on. My intuition's just going clang, 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 don't bother. So I'm not going to bother with it. So I think I have 18 scenes I prepped, and I've done drawings on boards for those, and as I've been painting my way through them, and I will be done with that next week with at least the first pass. And second pass on 5x7s goes pretty rapidly because I try and almost do everything I need to do and say in that first color pass. When I come in with the second pass, I'm just fixing things, maybe small things, or adding some texture here or there, or modifying some transition areas between colors, or softening a cloud mass, or maybe darkening a passage, or whatever, little things like that, little fix-its, and there you go. Anyway, I can see we're getting close to the end. If you like my videos, click subscribe. That's always awesome, and I'm always glad to see people doing that. You can follow my work over at my blog, which the best way to get there is go to my website, which is landscapepainter.co.nz. I recently started selling some pieces on Saatchi.com. That's SAACHI, or maybe it's Saatchi Gallery. I'm going to be getting into that more tomorrow, and start putting some links up on the YouTube for that too. So if you're into that, you'll have a chance to maybe buy something of mine if you're into it. Anyway, we'll see you tomorrow, Sunday. Meanwhile, take good care and stay out of trouble.